We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. This is Cheryl from Djaja country.
Hello and welcome to episode 97 of the Beyond 90 pod. This is Eric Subihano once again filling in for Cheryl Downs, who unfortunately is still feeling a bit unwell. So get better soon, Shez. Wishing all the best to Beyond 90's fairy godmother. So of course, it's not just me, and I'm sure all of you are very thankful. I have three wonderful co-hosts with me who will try their best to keep me in check. So firstly, up in Queensland, Magellicard, how are you going this week?
Yeah,
this
good.
Week?
Good. Still trying to avoid the rain, but plugging along regardless.
Then also we have, as usual, basically pretty much a dynamic duo who at the very least grew up in Canberra, both of them. So firstly, Dale Roots, how are you going?
Very well. Struggling to stay above water as most of us are.
Yes.
But yeah, very happy to be back as well. It's been a couple of weeks off.
And we also have our Canberra and Nordic expert, Stefan Mobus. Are you doing any better at staying above water, Stefan?
Above water, yeah. A bit ragged after lots of footy watching on the weekend, but
yes.
Yeah, going good here. Thanks. Otherwise,
yes. But just to, if I may sully the pod with men's football for a slight moment, Dale, Stefan and I all celebrating because our teams didn't get relegated from the English Premier League. Isn't that wonderful? It is. Very good. And also, my goodness, thank God that season is over. Let's move on and talk about women's football, which does a much better job of making us happy. And on to giving a shout out to the Matilda whose cap number matches the episode number. I'm so glad I get to do this one because episode 97 means Matildas Cap 97, Kelly Golebiowski. She made her Matildas debut in 1996 and played for the national team until 2005. 66 appearances all up, played in midfield. She actually debuted at age 14 and spent time playing in the old Australian Women's National Soccer League. I believe that was also known as the Ansett Summer Series, was it not?
Yeah, for at least a portion of it. You're exactly right.
Yes. And then Kelly also played in the USA for Washington Freedom. And as is the way with previous incarnations of Women's National Soccer League, it has I have two different names here: Women's United Soccer Association and the USL W-League. So have had a few goes at it over there, but good to see it appears to finally be sticking with the NWSL. Closer to home, Kelly Golebiowski played for Sydney FC and Central Coast Mariners in the A-League Women, made World Cup appearances in 1999 and 2003, played at the 2000 Olympics. And Kelly's from Sydney, so of course that Olympics would have been incredibly special for her. And I'm so pleased to do this because not only is Kelly from Blacktown, she is from Kings Langley, the greatest suburb in the world. So wherever you are, Kelly, hope you're doing wonderfully. Now, on to this week's hot topics. And well, we have, as I said, our Canberra dynamic duo here. So we have to start with the naming of a new Canberra United coach. And this man is Njegosh Popovich. So Dale, Stefan, do either of you have any kind of special insight on Mr. Popovich?
Yeah, his announcement was greeted very enthusiastically particularly by the players who were around in the Ray Dower era when he was assistant coach for Canberra United. Very successful era, of course, and so yeah, very, very warmly received, enthusiastically received. From my point of view, I'm very pleased about his long-time Canberra connection and background. He used to play for the Canberra Cosmos back in the day. I think he played a few games just in one season there, but he's been around a long time, very well liked and respected member of the Canberra football community. He's also been an assistant coach in the junior Matildas setup for around 5 years. And locally here, he's served as a coach and technical director for clubs in the region. So, yeah, I think a very popular choice, and glad that he'll be doing the right thing by the strong Canberra element that was reinforced by Vicky Linton in a tenure here, and hopefully continues to build that up. Dale, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you make a good point around the connection to Canberra. I mean, that's one thing that we've always said both fans and kind of, you know, talking heads like you and I. It's always good to have that kind of connection to the city itself, both from a playing and from a kind of a living in the area point of view. I don't think that that is going to do the squad any harm, especially when there are so many juniors in the squad. I mean, having played for the Canberra Cosmos is very cool, mainly because that was before I was following football. But it's kind of funny because there's been so many coaches from Canberra. It's almost like the Wagga Wagga of coaches at this point. Like there's already, like, Ante Juric is from Canberra as well. There's been other coaches from Canberra in the past also. So yeah, really happy with the appointment. And I think the fact that he's been kind of kicking around both the city but also maintaining that position within the junior coaching ranks is going to be really good, because it'll help. He'll know what it takes to bring a player up to the next level. He's done it before with the team in previous seasons, but also, as you say, with the junior Matildas. So yeah, looking forward to it. Should be interesting.
So Canberra United, not the only team that have announced a new head coach. So up in Sydney's West, my neck of the woods, the Western Sydney Wanderers have announced that Kat Smith will be their A-League Women head coach for the upcoming season. So if this works well, I can anticipate Cheryl being smug about it because Kat is from Victoria. But so I'm really looking forward to this, if we can call this Kat Smith, Tom Sermanni double act, with Tom Sermanni being the women's technical director or whatever the official title is. And also that big thank you to Cheryl for putting this link in the notes. Kat and Tom were named in the second edition of the FIFA Coach Mentorship Program. We'll have the links in the pod article for all of you to read at your own leisure. But Madge, that's got to be great news for the Red and Black.
Yeah, I mean, it's some great pedigree coming through there. And I think similarly to the Canberra appointment, someone who's got a lot of experience in youth development as well. So I think that'll be really good for the Wanderers, given, the number of younger players that come through all dub teams. So I think, a great coup for them. I think she's got, fabulous CV and well-respected around football circles, and I think they're lucky to have her. And that's quite the double act there with Tom Sermanni as well. So quite a strong back of house team as well.
Good to see Wanderers remaining relevant at some point in football.
I mean, it's almost like being blindfolded and throwing darts with a dartboard. I mean, one of them's got to hit one of them's got to hit the board.
I get the feeling that the Wanderers don't know what the darts look like or where the dartboard is at some points in the season. But like this, it'll be interesting to see as well, because like I'm having a squiz through her CV at the moment, as Madge said. Like if she's worked previously as an analyst, that's going to be really interesting in the way that they're able to kind of not just scout opponents, but hopefully play a kind of more. Well, less vibes based football and a little bit more hopefully tactically and technically adapt through the season.
Yes, please. Speaking of vibes based, I think I need to apologize to Kat now for all the vibes based commentary that she's going to hear when she scouts NPL New South Wales women's players. So I'm sorry, Kat. I'm really, really sorry. But moving on, our friends at Women Onside had a roadshow with kind of roundtables in a couple of cities. So I believe there was Canberra, Wollongong, Sydney, and Newcastle at the very least. And Stefan, you went to the Canberra Roadshow and the temperature was like 1 degree. Is that that's what I heard? Is that right?
It was, yes. I think we were first cab off the rank as well. So that was I really enjoyed it. It was a small gathering. Really nice to meet Kerry and the chair of Women Onside, and also Kieran was there. But I also really loved getting back in touch with Sarah Grooves, who's had a big hand in the creation of Beyond 90. So much beloved in the circles here. Really good to hear about some of their thoughts and strategies. I got some great ideas from chatting with the group that was there, as well as from Grooves, and have some ideas of some follow-up actions. So came away quite energised. The brekkie was great. We were at EQ down in Deakin. So, really nice way to start the day, if a tad early. It was 7 for 7:30 kickoff. I think Kerry had a big day though. Shouldn't complain. She went straight on to Wollongong in the afternoon, I think. So yeah, really good event.
Yes.
Can recommend people in the Canberra region going to the next one.
Yes, I have similar sentiments about Sydney, and in fact, any city that they choose to host, really. I went to one of the Sydney roundtables as Kerry continued her trip up Australia's east coast. And if anyone who follows me on social media will know that understand that I was delighted that she picked a lovely little Inner West cafe to hold this in. So I had a good chat, similar sentiments to Stefan. I spoke about things I'd like to see more of, more women in media. What are the plans to better support referees, of course, the third team as they call them, and so often forgotten, unfortunately. So hopefully we can get something started. It was lovely to meet Kerry Harris and other people like Isabella Nimmo from Northwest Sydney Football, it comes to mind. So yes, hopefully there's more of them, because it is just good after all these Zoom meetings that we're having, ironically, like this one we're having right now. It's great to meet people in person. But moving on, great news as our beloved Paratillies, the ParaMatildas, won silver at the Cerebral Palsy Women's World Cup. It was a really close one, but they ended up going down to the United States in extra time. But even so, a fantastic achievement. It's so great to see that we have a Cerebral Palsy women's team. Who'd like to have first go at this one?
Oh, all I know is that my nerves, that game absolutely frayed my nerves. It was exciting. We went up 1-0 up. And then I think the USA hit back with a couple of quite good goals, I think. I think the USA were probably worth the win. And I think the commentary and everything sort of agreed. So, but then, right at the death, we grabbed another goal and to tie it up, forcing it to extra time. But I think the quality of the USA just came through at the end. Some interesting substitutions from the USA. They swapped out their goalkeeper and put one of their star sort of players in the goalkeeper, who then went on some very interesting Liam Reddy-esque runs.
That's what we like to say.
Yeah, I like that.
It was good fun.
Yes. And if you're of a certain vintage, you may even call them Rene Higuita runs, and that is absolutely that's better than you love to see it. I
love when you say that in futsal, where they just like take the keeper out and just play with 5 on the field. Again,
it's so good. It's the best.
Amazingly vibes based. Tactical analysis.
Yes.
But good on them. I mean, first team to win a World Cup medal at any level, which is crazy to think about, considering that they only met like 3 weeks ago, and they'd never played together prior to that. So full credit to them. I don't want to be too cliched, but full credit to them. They deserve everything they get, and hopefully we see a lot more of them. Yeah,
and very deservedly. Caitlin Smith grabbed the goalkeeper of the tournament. She was fantastic all tournament, in the final as well, just pulling off some amazing saves. And then Georgia Bykov grabbed the golden boot as well.
Yes, so very successful time all around in Spain. And speaking of Spain, it's been announced that the Matildas are going to have an Iberian adventure next month. So I think we spoke about the friendly against Spain that was announced for Sunday, 26th of June, our time, 5:30 a.m. That'll be, speaking of early mornings. And following that up in that particular international window, Australia will play Portugal on Wednesday, the 29th of June, 6 a.m. local time. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It will be the first time Australia's played Portugal since the 2018 Algarve Cup.
I believe so, yeah. And I don't think we've played at the Algarve. Did we play at the Algarve Cup ahead of the World Cup in 2019?
No, because we instead did that tournament,
we had the
Cup of Nations. The
right.
one, with New Zealand, South Korea, and Argentina. So that was our February thing that time.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's going to be really good to see us playing overseas. Obviously we played in India for the Asian Women's Cup, which was obviously didn't go all according to plan, but I think going and playing over there, also in the heat of summer, is going to be super interesting. You're going to have players who have played a full season. I don't know who is going to be making themselves available. You would assume that most of the team would, but one player will definitely not be available. We'll come into that in a moment, and that'll pose a few questions. But
Yes.
super interested to see how Portugal go, because I mean, I think that they are they're a bit of an unknown quantity. Like Spain, we've seen obviously we've seen the rise of the team like Barcelona. We've seen Madrid coming up. We've had Atleti there for a while, but Portugal, I'm just having a quick look. I rated, like, they're ranked 29 in the world at the moment, and they're actually sitting at their highest ranking of all time. So I'll be interested to see how that all goes. I have to confess, I'm not really big on the Portuguese women's team, although they do have a player who is a teammate of Tessa Tamplin at Servette. So, and former teammate of Lisa Devanna at Fiorentina, Claudia Neto. That's a very famous surname for any men's football fans listening. But yeah, be super interested to be watching these ones. We spoke off mic about the stadia that they're going to be playing.
Oh yes,
very Spartan would be the word that I would use to describe them. A step up from Leichhardt. That is the 8th wonder of the world. So yes. Looking forward to it.
But is it like Spartan on like a beautiful Portuguese coast, or just Spartan?
What city is it? Estoril?
Yeah, it's in Estoril. So it's in the Portuguese Riviera. Although, having said that, like literally half of Portugal is coastline. Yep. So
that's what I was going to say.
It's kind of cheating. they're in the game against Spain is in Huelva as well, on the Cadiz coast. So again,
that's nice. That's nice.
Look, the girls are going to be out there after training. Definitely out there on the beach. That's all I have to say. No one in the water because there's no surf. I assume there's no surf in Huelva. Portugal would have great surf, but I think that they'll be enjoying their time in the sun.
I quite like it as a 1-2 as well. I mean, I think
agreed.
When Tony first took over and we had like tough team. I mean, I don't want to cast doubt on Portugal's skill, because I think there isn't the same drop in quality in women's football that maybe a decade ago you could bank on results. So I'm sure Portugal will be technically very strong, but I think after Spain, he'll be using this as a warm up for the Euros as well. So they'll be in wanting to test out their combinations and really prime themselves for a big tournament themselves. Having a Portugal to follow that up. I think if the Spain game doesn't go well, it's probably an opportunity to sort of build some confidence back against Portugal. So,
and same thing with Portugal. Like Portugal will be again using this as a warm up for the group stage, and I think that you make that point around their European warm up for their tournament. I think that's a perfect example of where Football Australia can look to position the Matildas as an alternative to playing a European team or a North American team or whoever it is for these teams who are coming up to their warm ups. And that's not necessarily just now, but going forward. Like a couple of years ago, we played Denmark and then Sweden back to back before the Olympics, where that was a similar kind of 1-2. Obviously, Sweden were playing in the Olympics as well, and you wouldn't say that we were both showing our cards a long way from our chests, but at the same time, as I said, it gives both teams an opportunity to kind of prepare for something that's fairly similar, but also a little bit different to what they could be playing in that tournament. Unfortunately, Portugal have to play all their games in Lee, which is the worst part of Manchester.
That's so the Lee Sports Village, I assume.
Lee Sports Village, yeah. Home of Lee Centurions rugby league team and Manchester United women.
That unfortunately for the Portuguese friends appears to be a bit of a short straw, I think. But going back to Madge's point, I like that. Two different types of opponents. So an opponent that everyone's scared of, and then someone that will still be a tough test, but not absolutely frightening like the likes of Spain and Sweden and the United States can be. I also like that. Basically, it's a game in one place, then they've got to fly to another place for a game in a short turnaround. So really mimicking the kind of major tournament conditions. So it's good to get all the players used to that. Now, other news, and Cheryl, one of the many things Cheryl kindly put in the pod notes is Instagram post. Chloe Logarzo has reached a rehab milestone. It's just an Instagram photo of her. She's clearly been running on grass, and not much information, but clearly she's very obviously delighted to be at this stage and one step closer to getting back in action. So any thoughts on that, apart from obviously that is wonderful?
Yeah, she's training or doing a rehab with Kansas City Current, who have one of the most niche but awesome names in football. Up there with the strongest. But yeah,
Ooh,
good to
yes.
see. Also, on that same note, A-League women and former young Matilda Nikki Flannery made her return to the NPLW this weekend after nearly 12 months away. So good to see that she's back and trundling around. Apia, not very good at football at this point, but we'll come on to that later. Good to see CupChloe back though. It was kind of interesting. I thought that she was, I know that this is kind of a little bit obtuse, but I think that she was one of the stars of the A-League women and recent Matildas coverage. I think a lot of people, myself included, did not expect the level of kind of analysis that she gave. I mean, friend of the podcast, Lockie France, will not be happy to hear me say that because from memory they are from the same part of the world, but I wasn't expecting our hardworking central midfielder to regale me with tactical analysis on the level that Logarzo did. So I was super stoked. So I mean, maybe there's a career for her there after football.
Yep. And she can get onto that when she's finished being incredibly, incredibly angry on the football field.
Yeah, the angriest woman in football.
Yeah, she is, and we love it, and that's why she's got so many caps for Australia.
Yeah.
So on to obviously possibly the biggest news of the week. It's the UEFA Women's Champions League final, and Barcelona won Lyon 3. So we'll cover this in a lot more detail, I assume, later on, but a second Champions League winners medal for Ellie Carpenter. Stefan, is this game one of the many reasons why you're sleep deprived right now?
I didn't see it live. I did see some highlights and some extended action of it. So perhaps it contributed a little bit. We were talking a little bit off air about Ellie's injury, unfortunately, which happened quite early in the game, and wondering perhaps what that means for our World Cup hopes leading up to next year, and wishing Ellie all the best for her recovery. It was an odd one, wasn't it? She dug into the ground with that first contact from Rolfo, and in a way that must have hyperextended or put some stress on the joint, and then having been patched up a bit, was uncomfortable with the bandaging and was out in the open field and turned to receive a ball, and just buckled underneath her. So it was awful to watch, I got to say. But the way she reacted after the game, bounding out after her teammates on one leg, absolutely remarkable. Very joyful reaction there, and so that was really nice to see as a postscript to the event. Top-notch game. Really enjoyed the game, but I think I'll let you folk who probably watched a bit more of the action than I did in total to give some analysis about it. But I love the intensity of what I saw.
Yeah. So, Madge, did you either stay up really late or wake up really early for the Champs one? It wasn't that really awkward time slot, wasn't it?
It was, and I had been up watching the election, of course. But I did set my alarm, but I must have slept through my alarm, and I missed the first half. But then, thankfully, the upstairs neighbours' smoke alarm started going off, woke me up at 4:00. So I was able to get up and watch the second half. But of course, everything that had already happened in the first half. Though I did see. I can't remember who it was, but for Barcelona, the audacious chip of Endler that hit the bar, that if that had gone a few inches lower, because that was pretty early in the second half, I think, really could have turned the game on its head, I think. But it's a game of inches sometimes. But I don't know, Dale, did you see the first half?
Yeah, watch the first half back, and we were talking about this off mic earlier, and I think the easiest way for us to describe it was, I just don't think Barcelona were expected to get punched in the mouth. I mean, they have been so dominant. It was the first game they lost all season. And they were so dominant all year, even in the the semi-final. They were so dominant at home. They played in front of those massive crowds, and then I think because of so much of their football obviously is possession based, they just weren't expecting a team to obviously score early. That was a really big kind of hindrance for them, but then to then press them and push them as much as they were. And, you know, as I said, I don't think that they are expecting it. I think that Lyon were really, really disciplined. Obviously, losing Carpenter as early as they did was a big hit, but, you know, they also have like literally 20 of the best women's footballers in the world on the team, so they were okay.
Bring on Buchanan, it's like...
Yeah, bring on Kadesha Buchanan, Olympic gold medalist, 3-time Champions League winner, not bad. Also is still like only 21 somehow.
What? Oh.
Yeah, she's super young. I remember she debuted for Canada at like 15 or something. But yeah, I think that like Lyon very obviously had a plan. The fact that they scored so early really helped that plan eventuate. And then I think without putting too fine a point on it, Barcelona just absolutely capitulated at the back. Like the Ada Hegerberg goal. Yes, it was a great run, but like if I have two central defenders and both of them are looking at the ball in the 6-yard box, somebody's probably going to score. And then the Hegerberg assist for the third goal, again, they couldn't clear. They were under constant pressure up in the first half. And then I think it was Cascarino scored the third goal.
Katarina.
Katarina Macario. My apologies. But yeah, obviously the goal, the Barcelona goal, kind of like helped, and that, I think it was Patry was the player who nearly chipped Endler. But yeah, it was one of those games where, like, you know, Barcelona have been far and away the best team in their league all year. They've arguably been the best team in the Champions League. And then they just got, you know, absolutely played off the park. And I think it was one of those games where like Lyon's experience really told. They knew that like we have 90 minutes to win this game. And if we go one down, like we're going to be able to come back from it. We got to be able to trust ourselves. But Barcelona, I feel like as soon as they went down, they kind of were like, okay, we have to win the game in the next 10 minutes every time they got the ball. So like, not necessarily that every pass was trying to find a goal, but I don't think that they trusted themselves enough to play out the 90 minutes and find a result. But hey, they don't write pictures. They don't draw pictures on the scoreboard. So,
and I think we have to talk about the Amandine.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just. I mean, I think the tackle was fine, but she went in hard to win the ball to start with, and then I think it was closer to the halfway line than it was to the box. Just absolutely leathered it into the top right-hand corner if you're looking at the goal. Just do yourself a favor. And
I think the tackle was fine. Like, I don't have a problem. She won the ball like around her knees, around her thighs. So like, I don't have any problem with the tackle. But like, not even the audacity, but the confidence to hit the ball like that so early in a game. I don't think that she computed that she had scored. Like, it went in and it was.
Is it because she was so far away from the goal?
Yeah, but like she just kind of hit the ball and like hit it as hard as possible, and it went into the side netting, which is always lovely. And like she was off. Like she was just like, you know, it must have been, you know, transcendent, that feeling of being able to score from so far in front of so many people in such a big occasion. But yeah, I can't fathom what that would feel like, and having the ability in any part of my life to do anything as amazing as that. But
one of those goals where it's great to look at the reactions of people in the crowd and the players just to see.
I think there's a shot from behind her where like her teammates are like putting their hands on their heads, just like, I can't believe this is happening. But yeah, good on her, and she was named player of the match. We spoke about that earlier, and look, one of my favorite players, definitely, and yeah, might be picking up a little award later in this podcast potentially.
So I've heard the rumors as well, Dale. So obviously, with European leagues are winding up, as you know, everyone prepares for the Euros and the summer break. So a lot of these leagues are finished, but there was the final league game in the Netherlands, and Aussie at PSV Eindhoven. Amy Harrison played the second half of PSV's 1-1 draw with Excelsior Barendrecht, and PSV have an upcoming cup game against Ajax, so it's always a big deal when PSV and Ajax meet. So while researching this, I was delighted to learn that Amy Harrison is teammates with Mariska Voldis, who you will all remember from Western Sydney Wanderers, Adelaide United, and if you're really niche, Illawarra Stingrays as well. Was less delighted to learn that Excelsior's goal was actually a Mariska Voldis own goal, but these things happen when you're a defender. But speaking of Europe, one part of Europe that is only picking up steam, nowhere near ending, is, of course, wonderful Nordic countries. And so, Stefan, the floor is yours for the Nordic section of this podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Yeah, as you mentioned, a couple of the confederations there, the action is winding up rather than winding down. With some in Norway and Sweden, they played 2 rounds, or had two sets of action in the same week. So I'll go through those quickly. In Norway, having had a week off, they all the teams got to participate in NM Cup action, which is the Norway Cup. And the top league teams all play, all get seeded in the first round, and then in the second round they typically play teams against the next tier down. So for LSK Kabina, where Carly Rosbakken is, they had a massive 12-0 win against Tinset. Carly wasn't listed on the card, and I've heard that she's still got some foot soreness, which is setting her back a little bit. But hopefully that's only a minor setback, and we see her back soon. We'll have to see what happens with that foot injury there. Over at Vålerenga, where Ellie Green is, they had a 9-0 win against Fart. Now, I should talk about Fart. Fart actually translates to speed in Norway. So, they're quite fond of putting elemental type forces around their team names. So they've got one team called Fire, they've got Dynamite Girls, and now they've got Speed. So, yeah, it was a really good win. And Ellie Green, we think, made her debut in that game. She put out an Instagram post, I think 2 days before the game, saying that, and she was in full kit and saying she's looking forward to the first game. But we can't actually see any details, given that it was a cup game, for who played in the game that I've noticed. So, he's hoping that she had a good first outing for Vålerenga. Also in the same week, it was Top Syrian round 9. The games were played overnight last night. Most of them, I think, not all of them, but it included those 2 teams. So I should mention, Fiona Wirtz played a full game for LSK Kavina in that cup game and scored 4 of the 12 goals. So. Yeah.
Are you getting PTSD, Madge?
Sorry?
Are you getting PTSD, Madge? Or
I've already blocked it out. I didn't know what you're talking about.
What I don't understand is why she's not being selected for the Top Syrian game. So she did not take part in the in LSK Kavina's 0-0 draw last night against Lynn. Lynn are on the ladder right next to LSK Kavina. Would have been really nice to have a goal scorer out there in a 0-0 draw. So that one's a bit baffling, especially after such a strong outing. I guess we don't know if she picked up a niggle in that game. It was definitely the one holding the selfie photo after the cup game, and looked very excited, and the team looked very pleased about how that went. So to have her not on the card against Lynn is a bit baffling, but maybe we'll see her soon. And Vålerenga had another monster win this week against 9th placed Anna Bjorna, winning 9-1, and Ellie Green was not on the card for that game either. Over in Sweden, they played 2 rounds in the week, so I'll go through those games quickly. First placed FC Rosengard, where Tegan Micah and Charlie Grant are playing. Tegan didn't play in the first game, which was a 2-0 win against 8th placed Örebro. Charlie Grant came on at the 64th minute. And the second game was a 3-0 away win against 4th place Eskilstuna United. And Tegan played that game in full, and Charlie came on late at the 86th minute. So continuing their winning ways. Down Hammarby way, where Kyra Cooney-Cross and Courtney Nevin are there, and we're still not sure what's happening with Elise Kellon Knight. She still has a contract with the team, we believe. So hopefully she's on the mend there, and thinking about putting the boots back on soon. But Hammarby lost in their first game 2-0 at home against 5th place Christian Stads. Hammarby are coming 10th at the moment, I should note. Courtney was substituted in the 77th minute, and Kyra was not selected. And their round 10 game is on the 24th, which is tomorrow night. Down Vizio way, where Claire Polkinghall and Katrina Gorrie are, they're having a fantastic run at the moment after some really good, strong recent results. I think we reported last week they were playing the first of the round 9 games as we went to air last week. Just before we went to air, they had a 2-1 win against Pattaya, and both those goals came in the last 5 minutes. But this week they had a 1-0 win away to 8th post of Rebro, and both Polks and Minnie played a full game. And Minnie copped a yellow card and then went out to score the winner 3 minutes from time. So
it's the double we like to see.
Yes. Yeah. But their strong run of results means they're they've pushed up into 5th place, so not too far off Champions League calculations if they keeping up that good form. Down at the other end of the ladder, however, Remy Simpson's AIK unfortunately have lost 2-0 to 13th placed Brahma Pakana, which is the team just placed above them. That was a home loss as well, so they probably would have been hoping for more from that one. And they lost 4-1 away then to 5th place Christian Stards. But Remy got to play a full game on both occasions, so she's seeing some excellent game time in all their games, which is a real positive. And in the second tier, the Eletan in round 8, Annie Haffenden didn't make the match card for Becco's 7-1 win against Gamla Uppsala. And Becco were 4th. And yet they're undefeated. So they've had 4 wins and 4 draws. So interesting sort of record there.
Oh, I've got. There's a more interesting undefeated record in NPL New South Wales. We'll get to that.
Okay. Swinging over to Denmark. There's a bit of
there's also Denmark, of course, where, and Fortune Hearing, the team with the 4 million Aussies.
Yes, that's right. And Denmark and Iceland still to go. So sorry if it's taking a while. Fortuna Hearing probably had a bit of a cup final hangover this week. They lost 4-0 in their championship round 8 game. There are 10 games in the round. They've already qualified as part of the top 2. They cannot be dislodged. So perhaps they were not quite up mentally for the game, but 4-0 loss against bottom side Nordsjælland. So they'll want to, try and get themselves back on track for when the league starts in a few weeks' time, a bit later in the year. We can forgive them this one, I think, having just come off the cup final last week, which is a huge game for them. Angie Beard and Claire Wheeler both played the full game, and India Page Riley, who suffered an ankle injury, we think, in the last minute of the cup final, didn't take part in this game. And the other game was Jenna McCormick's AGF had a good 6-1 win against 5th place Vada in their round robins. They're also on the round 8 of 10 of the promotional round robins. So if they finish in the top 2, which they're currently in, they get to play in the league. They get to stay in the league when it happens later in the year. Jenna played a full game and scored the 6th goal in the 6-1 win. So good on you, Jenna. Awesome stuff.
It's always good with a Nordic rap with an Aussie scoring.
Yeah. Finally, in Iceland, it was round 5 of the Urvalsdeild, and 10th place, bottom place, KR Reykjavik, which has got Margot Chevet and Susan Tongsom Cam as part of the squad, had a big loss against the top side, Valur, as a 9-1 home loss. Margot played 82 minutes, and Susan Tongsom Cam had a full game in this fixture. And finally, Melina Ayres, who's with Breidablik, who are coming 4th at the moment, had a 1-0 loss against 7th placed IBB. They would have been hoping for better given the ladder positions. And Melina played 61 minutes.
Good. Thanks so much. Of course, now we're finally covering, the Nordic rap is so long because it's such a popular place for Aussies, of course. So moving on to the NWSL. And by the way, if you want to know where you can watch the NWSL, it's free via Twitch, and we've got the links to the 4 NWSL Twitch channels in our pod articles. But it's busy times in the United States as well. So First, there's results involving Aussies. San Diego Wave beat Racing Louisville 1-0. Emily Van Egmond played a full game for the Wave. And Alex Chidiac, a start and 81 minutes for Racing Louisville. That's fantastic, especially given some of her previous overseas adventures with not getting game time. It's lovely to see her getting so much game time. And then Alex Chidiac backed that up with a start in 56 minutes as Racing Louisville defeated Gotham FC by a goal to nil. Now, going back to the Waves, Emily Van Egmond had another full game and received a yellow card as well. You love to see it. But what I don't love to see is Wave beating North Carolina Courage. That makes me sad. And then finally, Chicago Red Stars defeated Orlando Pride by 4-2, but unfortunately, Chelsea Gilbert not in the Red Stars match day squad. So moving on, Matt hasn't spoken for a while, so I suppose let's start out with all the happenings in NPL Queensland.
Yeah, we've actually gotten a few games played. There's still a few that have been washed out, but we managed to get one of the Kappa Super Cup games away in the last few days, and Moreton Bay United defeated Logan Lightning in that knockout competition. Goals to Florence McIntyre, Charlie McLennan, and Georgia Beaumont grabbed a goal there as well. And then in the NPLW, a couple of the games were washed out. So let me just double check. So QAS versus Eastern Suburbs. Mm-hmm. Capalaba and Olympic are due to play tomorrow. Hopefully that will be okay. It is at Capalaba. I think they've been having some very soggy fields, so hopefully the field will come up in time. Because Capalaba, they're currently bottom of the ladder and they've got quite a good team. So they've only played 2 games, but a draw and a loss. So they'd want to be starting to get some wins on the board against Olympic. But in the games that did get played, we had Souths United and Gold Coast United took out a 1-1 draw, and the goals came late. So Gold Coast managed to go ahead with Charlotte Adamson in the 70th minute. But then an absolutely fantastic equalising goal in the 86th from South, from Dominic Spampinato, sorry. Absolutely fantastic sub, came on and scored the winning goal from a few meters outside the box, just, from nowhere, slamming it into the back of the net. So well done. And then, of course, the Queensland Lions roll on again. They went away to Sunshine Coast Wanderers and took that out 4-1. There were 2 early goals, or 2 first half goals, from Amy Gunston in the 9th and the 45th. And then in the second half, Tegan Riding put one away, and Chelsea Blissett came in at the back post and put a goal away for Lions, and Chanel Harris grabbed a goal for the Sunshine Coast Warriors.
Good to see Chelsea Blissett, a player who could legitimately be the subject of a tug of war between New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland. Mm-hmm. Moving on, that reminds me, just quickly run through Victoria. So Alamein defeated Football Victoria Emerging by 1-0. Calder United, Polydorans for All Club, defeated Box Hill United by 2-0. Heidelberg United defeated Bayside United 5-2. And there is a game being played between Bulleen Lions and South Melbourne, so that's a big one. Just after the time of us recording this pod, so it's a Monday night game, which they love down in Victoria. There's also a cup game, the Nike Cup, first game of their quarterfinals there on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. at Keeler Park, with Calder United facing Boroondara Eagles. But that's it. Now we've done some other states, so on to the best state, Dale. So would you like to take us through NPL New South Wales?
Yeah, sure. So we'll go through a quick wrap of this one. We'll save the best to last. Unfortunately, Sydney Olympic versus Sydney Uni was washed out at Peter Moore Field, which meant that Eric did not get to call a game this week, which makes him very sad.
Yes, and not just that, it means I have still never called Courtney Vine.
Illawarra Stingrays 1, MacArthur Rams 1, Bronte Pike with a goal for the Stingrays, and Melissa Caceres for the Rams. Manly United 2, Apia Leichhardt 2. Apia dropped points again somehow. Madison Zara, supposedly that goal was a banger. I haven't seen the footage.
It is. It's you need to see it. It was incredible.
We'll have to put that up. And Caitlin Jarvie with the goals for Manly, and Leah Davison and Shay Connors for Apia. Football New South Wales Institute 1, Northern Tigers 2. That is our game of the week. So keep an eye out in the coming day for a match report on that one. But Isabella Chidiac for Institute and Claudia Bunge and Annalise Brewster for the Tigers with the goals there. Bankstown City 1, Northwestern Sydney Spirit, Nay Koalas 2 out at Bankstown. Paige Hayward for Bankstown and Victoria Munn and Morgan Roberts for the Spirit. Good to see Spirit get a win because they conceded after 13 seconds last week. So
Yes.
Don't recommend. But the game of the week, inarguably for all listeners of this podcast, Blacktown Spartans 5, Emerging Jets 1. Brinley Gentle with the goal for the Jets. Ashley Crofts with 4 goals for Blacktown Spartans and Kate Duffy with the 5th. The Ashley Croft show keeps rolling on. She's good at the old scoring the goals.
She is.
I was kind of looking at that game thinking, I wonder how close this will be. It was not. Apologies to the Emerging Jets.
Yes.
But yeah, keep an eye out for Institute versus Tigers. We'll have a match report on that one in the coming days. Should probably come out tomorrow.
Yep. And of course, now that we've given Stefan a bit of a rest, it's of course time for NPL Capital Football down in the ACT and the surrounding areas. So, Stefan, would you like to take us through the weekend's results there?
Sure. Yeah, round 7 in the Capital Football Women's competition. The stunning result this weekend was West Canberra Wanderers defeating Belconnen United 2-1. So West Canberra have enjoyed a strong start of the season. I think they won 5 of the opening round games, and the question was always going to be how they go against the traditional top flight teams. And this year, Canberra Olympic are in amongst that number with the strength of their squad. So a 2-1 win against Belconnen United at Melrose Synthetic is really impressive. And it leapfrogs West Canberra over the Blue Devils into 3rd place, Belconnen 4th. Hattie Cram was the star striker for the West Canberra Wanderers. Both teams are blessed with a lot of pace up front. So Kira Bobbin in particular has had an enormously successful season so far for Belconnen, but this time it was Hattie Cram who's showed a lot of promise last couple of seasons and lived up to that today. This week with this result, putting the Belconnen United defence under an awful lot of pressure. So just quickly through the other games, Wagga City Wanderers went down 5-0 at home against Tuggeranong United, and that's the first win for the South Canberra side, Tuggeranong. Gungahlin United, they had a narrow loss, 2-1 at home against ladder leaders Canberra Croatia. So definitely showed that the Gungahlins 2-2 draw last week against Canberra Olympic, which was hard fought in the end, but it shows that they're on the upswing, and the result last week was no fluke. And it leads to a mouthwatering matchup coming up this week where the Gungahlin come up against West Canberra.
Is that mouthwatering enough to be your match of the round?
I think so. I think be mad not to go to that one. So, yes. And finally, the game I went to, which was last night, quite late, over at Hawker and Closed in the Synthetic. It was a game between Canberra United Academy and Canberra Olympic. Olympic came out really hard out of the blocks on both halves and stunned the Young Academy side in the first 5 or 10 minutes on both halves before the Academy settled into both halves, and that turned the game around. Was telling in the final result, which was a 3-0 win to Canberra Olympic. Ashley Sykes hadn't had an awful lot of game time recently, but came out on fire in this game. Belted a shot against the crossbar for 1 goal, which Vanessa Ryan tidied up and scored from. And Ryan also scored a 2nd goal, and there was also an own goal for the Academy. So Ryan's first goals, having made the move from Belconnen last season. So really good performance for her. But the drive that Canberra Olympic have with Ashley Sykes and Michaela Thornton, driving with the ball at feet into penalty areas and being very difficult to stop. So, things looking good for Canberra Olympic if they can both stay fit and maintain that sort of form. Not all was lost, though, for the Academy. They had periods of the game where they were right on top. And there's not too many teams can say that this season coming up against the Olympics. So in particular, in the first half, they had a good 20, 25-minute patch where Sophia Christopherson, the sole striker at times, gets isolated a bit, but was really dangerous and a handful for the Olympic defence. So some really good signs for both teams out of this game. It was very entertaining. I think the crowd, quite a large crowd, went away quite happy with the game, and that'll be the game that gets written up this week for Beyond 90.
Great stuff. Thanks so much, Stefan. So we're almost done, but it's time to end the pod in the way that we've kind of made a tradition here at Beyond 90 with our Queen/King/non-binary legends of the week. Firstly, Cheryl could not be with us, of course, but she has very kindly nominated a queen, and it's a very obvious one, person who we've already spoken about, Amandine Henry, for that goal in the UEFA Women's Champions League final that she described as an ooh la la goal. Yep, I totally agree. So on to Madge. Who was your Queen/King/non-binary legend of the week?
Yeah, we've been not able to get too many games played, so I thought I would celebrate a highlight from one of the MPLW Queensland games we got, and the Dominique Spampanato goal for Souths to even up the result there against Gold Coast. I've got to check it out. It was a great goal, and I love a sub coming on and making the difference.
Yes, writers love that as well. Yeah. So Dale, who have you selected this week?
So there's a very few people in the world have achieved this outstanding, thing in life. Miguel Munoz, Giovanni Trapattoni, Johan Cruyff, Carlo Ancelotti, Frank Rijkaard, Pep Guardiola, Zinedine Zidane. Sonia Bonpastor becomes the first woman to win European Champions League as both a player and a coach, and as such, she is my Queen of the Week.
Very nice, Dale. Stefan, I believe you're along the same lines with your Queen of the Week.
Yeah, from the same game at least. Ellie Carpenter, for all the joy tinged with sadness for that result that we saw on the weekend, but very glad to see the joy. Hopefully the recovery goes well for you, Ellie.
Yep. And for me, it's been spoken about, but not enough as far as I'm concerned. So my Queen of the Week is the Queen of Blacktown, Ashley Crofts, who, as Dale so eloquently mentioned earlier, scored 4 times in the Blacktown Spartans' 5-1 win over the Emerging Jets. Ashley Crofts seems to have something against teams named the Jets for some reason. She scored in all 3 of her A-League women appearances against Newcastle Jets and has scored 6 goals in her last 3 games against Emerging Jets. So as someone that used to support Central Coast Mariners, that's something I absolutely love hearing, and I hope she continues banging in goals against the Jets. Now, and I look forward to actually by the time you listen to this, I'll probably be calling an NPL New South Wales women's game between Ashley Crofts Spartans and Northern Tigers. It'll be Tuesday night at North Taramara Recreation Area. So I will continue my Ashley Crofts nuffery on the mic over there. So that's all about time we have. Thanks so much for tuning in. And we really appreciate your support, whether you're using iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, or you're one of the listeners from Joy Radio or our friends at Clutch Radio. So thanks so much. And on behalf of Madge, Dale, and Stefan, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever you're listening to this, and we'll see you soon.